What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the North Leeds Jitz podcast. This week on the show, we are covering another MOT, so that's where our members have had an opportunity to give us some feedback about what's going well, what they would like to see improve in the academy, and we're just going to go through it and see where we get to. We're going to do it in two parts for the two different membership bases. We're going to go into adult stuff first, and then we're going to go into all the kids programs. So if you're a parent listening and you're just interested in the kids stuff, check the show notes. There'll be a timestamp for when you can jump to, and you'll just hear the kids stuff. So Wei is the leader on everything member experience related. So I'm going to let you lead on this one, Wei.
Cool. So this was the first time we split. So we've done adults and kids separately. So we'll go through adults first. Okay. So one of our first biggest questions was about the timetable change. So based on the new timetable below, so there was a picture of our timetable from the 1st of February, from the 8th of January when we come back from Christmas. Tell us how it will impact your GBRL experience. So the first one that came up on top was it will increase my attendance, followed by I will be able to attend more variation of classes, and the third one was it will improve my consistency. So this came in line with another question where we asked the members what matters to you the most in terms of your development, and 48% said regular attendance. So I think the schedule is definitely going to feed that.
Yeah, I mean, look, we were just chatting off air about this. I mean, that's really encouraging for us. You know, we've already got, as we've talked about before, a phenomenally generous schedule in terms of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You're not going to find a schedule like it anywhere in our region. You're not now with the new one going to find a schedule like it in the whole of Gracie Barra UK. So we've researched that as well. There's no other academy in the UK at all, Gracie Barra, that offers the variety and depth and consistency of training that we can offer you now in Gracie Barra from 2024. But what's really encouraging for me there is that our students, first and foremost, value the fact that they come to class more than they do anything else, more than they do stripes, more than they do gold medals. It's actually about being in the academy, being in the community and being on the mat. And that's ultimately what we're trying to offer and give people, right? And what's brilliant to hear is that if that matters to you most and the schedule's only going to add more to that, then it's feeding exactly what you want, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want as well. So I'm really, really pleased and encouraged about that.
Cool.
There was a couple of people who said, if we go back to because we want to balance this out. This isn't just, the reason we do the MOT, the membership opportunity to talk, it's not just to get told what we're doing great. We want to know where we can improve as well. So there was a couple of people there, I think, who'd said, how many?
Highlighted.
Yeah, so they're sad that Bar Hafit's leaving the timetable. Now, we're sad that Bar Hafit's leaving, but, we have to cater for the majority of students. And we said, when we put Bar Hafit in the schedule, probably about a year ago, was it, after one of these MOTs, we said, look, you're going to have to use it or you'll lose it, because if we compare that to, let's say, the Thursday morning, or even a Tuesday, GB1, on Thursday morning, we're averaging about 18 students coming at 6:30 to train and then to live train. Bar Hafit averages around about 4 to 6. It's a huge difference. That's 3 times as many students who are prepared to come to a GB1 class than they are Bar Hafit. So you may love it and we get it, but we just can't justify it on our current schedule when we've got so many members who want to come and train Jiu-Jitsu. What I did hear, though, in the feedback was that perhaps there's another way we could do it. People are valuing the movement to benefit their Jiu-Jitsu, and I think that's brilliant. We always say good movers make good grapplers. So perhaps there's a consideration for us to put together some kind of video series with Kev, which you can then access at home and do that training, or in the real room, because obviously that's going to be part of your membership. And you could maybe do some animal flow stuff. You could do some Jiu-Jitsu movement just in your own time. Look, we've been saying from day one to everybody, you should be drilling on your own at home if you want to get good at Jiu-Jitsu. There's nothing stopping you doing your hip escapes, doing your bridges, doing your basic Jiu-Jitsu movements at home to become as efficient as you can. And that's up to you, really, whether you do that. You don't need to wait for a bar half eight class to do that.
I don't remember which episode it was, but I remember you talking about Tom Rowan just coming up to a study hall session one time just to literally just work by himself on
doing inversions
basic
on the wall,
movements. Yeah. Another thing I'm not sure if you're going to move on to the more qualitative data that way, but some people have said about having a GB2 on the mornings would have been nice. I think
GB2 or 3.
Yeah, I think that's just a case of watching their space and letting that grow, because just like we didn't start when we had a full afternoon timetable. We didn't start with straight having GB2 and GB3, and equally same with the evenings, and equally I think in the mornings it'll just have to work like that for a little while. Let that morning squad build, because now there's more opportunity for people to join that. You can get new people in, and as that grows, as the coaches grow, I think there'll be opportunities for GB2 in the future.
Yeah, so we don't have anyone under a purple belt teaching GB2, and that's the limiting factor, really. It's our blue belt coaches cover the morning classes at the moment, but of course they're developing all the time. There will be purple belts in that coaching cadre fairly soon, so you can expect to see GB2 classes pretty quick. Just jumping around slightly, and I think we can do this, we can keep this quite loose. One of the feedback points which I heard was, and it's an absolutely really valid point, is that they'd prefer to have, or could there be more experienced instructors in the morning classes? So that is a really good point. And I think there's two things there. One, you want to get, I suppose, the most amount of knowledge in that class. Could argue it's not really required at GB1 level, but it's nice to have those extra details. But two, I think it's recognising progression, and it's being promoted on time and things like that. So we know that needs to change. We need to be better at that. So what we are doing is I'm going to be taking a slightly different role within the next kind of 6 months or so, where I will reduce my kind of number of classes that I'm down to do specifically every week. So for instance, I won't be teaching Tuesday nights. T will be doing that instead. But I'll be going to more of a floating role. And the idea is that I can then dip in and out of those morning classes. At the moment, that's quite difficult for us, because teaching Monday night late, Tuesday night late, if I'm going to be doing Monday morning, Tuesday morning, it's an absolute killer. So you can expect to see me and or T at those classes a lot more regularly. And obviously we're trying to support our new coaches as well, like Dan and Ben.
And again, it'll be less of an issue in the future, because once those blue belt coaches reach that purple belt level, they'll be able to give you your first 3 stripes.
Yeah.
Cool. There was a mention about live training or open mat on a Saturday. Any plans in the future?
I know Frosty's a big fan of this, Coach Frosty.
Is this on the 8 o'clock?
Yeah. It's not impossible, I guess. It's just you wouldn't be able to do it we wouldn't want it to push into near the Tiny Champions class, so you need it to be done.
Clean as well.
Yeah, people would need to get a shower potentially, so you got a time factor for that.
Yeah.
Then it's like how early is too early on a Saturday, both to keep a happy coach and a happy students are still going to attend, because it's a well-attended class.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to bring it early to facilitate live training, and then potentially have a good drop-off from the class, because people are like, Saturday morning, I want to have a little sleep in,
I wonder whether that's, I hadn't thought of that, but I wonder if that's another question to ask more specifically, because if it tends to be the same people who come on Saturday morning, if we ask that specific group, look, if we move that to, I'm just spitballing here, if we moved your class from 8 to 7, and then we had half an hour live training at the end and finished at 8:30, would you be interested in that? And we need to obviously check it off with the coaches. But we hear you. It'd be a good thing to have it. There's another thing there with the kids, because some of the feedback for the kids is that it can be quite chaotic when we've got classes running close together. So we wouldn't want to push into that, like T said. It'll just create more carnage. And from a safeguarding point of view, we need adults showered, changed and gone, really, before the kids show up. But it's a good point, and we'll look into it.
Cool. Okay, moving on. These are like all the positives. Quality of coaching, we've got 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5, majority vote. Just nice.
Can I just say something on that? So for those who don't know, all our coaches, regardless, well, you can't be a coach until you're a blue belt, but all our coaches are ICP certified through Gracie Bahar globally. We spend a lot of money developing our coaches that way, so they follow the GB method, and you will get consistency of coaching regardless of whoever's on the mat. It'll be the same structure. You may get slightly different techniques or flavours of techniques if T or I are coaching, just because of our experience, but everyone gets certified the same way. Everyone gets DBS checked from a safeguarding perspective, and we do that and make sure we're compliant. And everyone who coaches goes through an in-person sports first aid course. And we're running a new course in January through Leeds City Council for that, to make sure that all of our coaches are up to speed and fully certified. So you've got confidence that we are investing in our coaches all the time. Tonight, we're taking them all out for dinner. We do that twice a year. And we do a little workshop first. And, you know, if you're interested in doing that in the future, then get in touch with Soaps and we'll see if we can make it happen for you.
Cool. Okay. How would you rate our cleanliness and maintenance of our facilities? Majority vote, 5 out of 5. We do get some 4s and 3s.
Can I say something on that?
Yes.
I probably will on everything. So Alberto's just left. He does a phenomenal job, comes in every single day. In my experience, I've never seen a Jiu-Jitsu academy this clean. Many of you will have trained elsewhere and you will know the standard of cleanliness around Jiu-Jitsu academies. It's still, in many respects, spit and sawdust. The mats don't even get clean, never mind everything else. So we're really proud of that. And we invest a lot in Alberto to make sure he can provide us with that kind of world-class service. We are constantly looking at new ways to improve the academy. So you'll see some changes. I won't spoil it, but you'll see some changes in the new year around one area of the academy. And our intention is to move around the academy and really try and upgrade every single space. So we know the men's changing room, we'd probably like to do something there. We'd probably like to change the shower layout, maybe put a urinal in there. I think the ladies is pretty good. And we're constantly kind of improving the facility. So more to come on that, as always.
Cool. How would you rate our customer service? Majority vote was 5 out of 5, and then 4, and then we had just 1 3.
Yeah, I mean, we pride ourselves on this stuff, right? And we've worked really hard in the last 6 months to grow our inner circle team. That's what we call it. The staff and contractors like Way, like T, like myself, Soaps, Kev, Nicola, who sit in that inner circle and, you know, make this business work. And we've been developing our team off-site with an independent coach, setting our values, setting our mission statement, setting our intentions to grow and where we want to get to. And I suppose the reason why I say that is, you know, we don't want to be like a lot of martial arts academies or gyms that fail. You know, no one goes into business. You said this really well the other day, Wade, actually, when we went to our accountants on Monday and did some work with them. People aren't interested in doing the admin when they set these places up. I certainly wasn't, still not really. That's why Waze works for us. But it's really important, isn't it? Because, you know, there's so many people value what we do. It's a part of your life now. We want to give you the assurance that we're working hard on the business and in the business as well to make sure that this place is here in 10 years' time and in 20 years' time for your kids, right? So we're really pleased that the customer service score is really, really high. I think 87.5% voted 5 out of 5. That'll only get better, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, moving on. How would you rate your connection to the GBRL community? 50%, 5 out of 5. 35%, 4 out of 5. 13% said 3 out of 5, and 3% said 2 out of 5. So a bit of a mixed bag, but, you know, 50%.
Still trending towards, you know, I think it's 85% say 4 and 5. I think it's an interesting one, this, because, you know, we can provide the opportunity for you to engage with the community, but a lot of it is down to you. You know, we do loads of stuff outside of just jiu-jitsu, don't we? You know, we sponsor local football teams, we pay for the fireworks night around Asians, which we have then all of our members able to go and get discounted tickets for. We do the rollathon, which you can get involved in so you can give back to charity. We did the toy appeal this year. We do coaches night out. Say again, mate? Seminars. We do parents night off. We had open chats.
Yeah.
Loads of opportunities for people to engage in the community. But we get it's not for everyone. So
Yeah.
I think that connection really is a choice for people. We don't mandate it, but it is there for you if you want to get involved. And to the point of jiu-jitsu, like, you can become a coach too. You can give back to the community. You can develop the next generation of children, or help your adult members out by becoming a coach. Have you got anything to say on the community thing?
No, I think I think definitely at the start it can feel like, how do I get ingratiated into this kind of already existing community? Because I remember a while back people talking about how the blue belts seem to have such a good but it's not like they just came in on the first day, they're like all pally. They had to work at it, they had to hit lots of roles together, and jiu-jitsu is the best thing in the world for creating relationships. So it's like sometimes it'll just come with time, I think, as well. If you don't feel like you're in the community yet, just give it a little bit of time, do a little bit more training, reach out to some more people, and you'll feel it.
Yeah, you've got the chat as well, which you can always engage in, and we brought in the mentors
Yep,
as well,
the
which is
mentor and
really,
buddies.
hopefully the buddies, to help that transition into, because that was a bit of feedback before, as T said, that the more established students felt like they were part of something and the new students couldn't break into that. So the idea of the buddy system is that we kind of bring people in and help you come in. But it's there for you, there's loads of stuff, and more to come next year. But please do engage if you want to.
GBRL quiz night, I've got in the back of my mind.
I've always wanted to be a quiz master.
We used to do a quiz, didn't we? Remember in lockdown?
Yeah.
We used to do a quiz.
I was going to get some Harry Potter themed quiz.
No, I won't be there.
no.
I'm busy on that now.
Maybe just a section.
I'm busy on that one.
Okay, we're going back to goals now. So we said it was like 48%. People said that regular attendance is how they would rate their development. So one of our questions was, what are your current BJJ goals and how can GBRL assist you in achieving them?
Before you do that, way, I thought it was interesting the difference between the pie chart and what people, like the quantitative data there and the qualitative data, in that 50%, like you say, or 48% said regular attendance is their goal. But when you actually look at what people write down as their goals, no one really says, I want to attend more classes or I want to attend more regularly. Which I thought was quite interesting. Everyone's saying, I want to develop this thing, or more, skills based, or to be one here. I want to be present and calmer. I want to be better technically and develop my own skill and fitness.
Perhaps those come though through regular attendance.
Yeah, I think maybe the question,
byproduct of
people are
that.
thinking something very specific, because this one gave me a chuckle. Have the best triangle of anyone in the academy, including Professor Mike.
I mean, I wouldn't say I've got the best one to start with, but I mean, I think the idea that you want to focus on one thing and make it amazing is a really good thing. Definitely, all of the greatest jiu-jitsu players had things that they were really, really good at, and you absolutely can have a black belt level triangle as a blue belt, like 100% you can. I wouldn't say I've got the best one, but I've learned from a man who is known for his triangles, obviously my professor. So, yeah, I think that's a great thing to have. And on that, I think just looking forward, and something that I'm always talking to our students about, is to have those goals, short, medium and long-term goals. You should be thinking about that stuff and come into class with a plan. Because if you don't, you're kind of just winging it. And that's not the most.
I think totally would agree, and I'm sure this guy says it a little bit tongue in cheek in a way as well. I like his other goals of keep having fun, not getting injured, and inventing a new submission. But I also say on that one, like, try not to compare yourself too much to other people in jiu-jitsu. That's like a cliche, but also very real trap I think people fall into. So if you're always like, damn, my triangle isn't better than X person, I've failed my goal. It's like, that's a hard thing. Is it better than you were last week? Is a much better thing, I think.
Says it by the door, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today.
So we had a female who left a comment about feeling hesitant about attending classes because of her size and being the only female, especially for no-gi classes. So she suggested having some sort of format where girls could fill in like a Google sheet, and she could check to see if they were attending. What would be your...
Can you not see on Team Up to see who's attended as a member?
I don't think as members they can see how many people are attending, but not like who. I think
right. There is a female-only WhatsApp group, no?
There is a female, but we don't write in it to say, "Oh, I'm going tonight," and things like that. But we might say, if anyone wants to do study hall or something, do you want to pair up?
Well, I think the facility for you guys to get together and do that is available. You can do a poll in the WhatsApp group like, hey, I want to go to Nogi on Saturday. Who would be interested in coming with me? I think that's easy enough. I feel like there's the facility there for it.
I'd like to think that none of our community, especially our female community, would be in any way thinking it's weird to ask that question or anything other than supportive. If one of our less experienced female members said, I'm a little bit hesitant or nervous about going to Nogi. Has anyone been? What do you think? I know Sophie's been to Nogi. I know she goes.
To the whole time.
There's some, very experienced, high-level competitors in our female programme. People who've been with us for years. So I think have the confidence to reach out in that group initially. I think you'll find a really positive response, and someone will be around to help you. I think it's an absolutely natural feeling too, and a normal feeling to feel like that. A lot of guys feel hesitant to go and do live training. I imagine it's even more challenging for a lot of women as well. But it's absolutely something you should do because, again, to T's point, if that is something that you're struggling with, the confidence to go and do that. When you go and do it and you prove to yourself you are capable and you have a great time, which you will, and it's safe and it's enjoyable, then you've proved to yourself you're capable of more than you thought, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, there's a momentum effect to those kind of things as well, because there might be 2 or 3 other women who are in the same boat as you that are thinking, oh, I wish there was someone else, and really all of you are not communicating with each other, and really all of you would actually like to go to that class together, but sometimes you got to put your neck out and be like, hey, I would like to do this, who's in?
And if you still feel, because I'm noting there about the Google Sheet, I just don't think that would work for us. I think to do that in every class would be just a nightmare admin-wise.
Yeah.
But what you could do, if you still feel really uncomfortable putting it in the ladies' WhatsApp group, so not the main one, but the female one, then you could just contact Way.
Yeah.
And Way could facilitate that for you. That's no problem. That's part of the service that we offer. So do get to live training, because that'd be a shame if you didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, reach out to me. Okay, so we've had this in previous MOTs about members saying, oh, it'd be nice if we got feedback or if a coach. So someone said, especially after live training, where maybe a coach could be watching and give advice on how to improve. So yeah, this person may have not done previous MOT. It might be someone new since then.
I mean, I always give students, I tend to roll in the live training when I'm there because I like to roll with my students. I know they like to roll with me. So, but I always give feedback, pretty much always after every single roll. And it's not always constructive. Like last night, I had a great roll with Tom Mackenzie-Little, a really, really tough roll for me. He's getting really good at retaining his guard. And, my feedback was, that's amazing, man. Just keep doing it. Whatever he's doing. And he noted that he'd noticed an area of weakness within his own guard retention, and he was fixing it, and that's exactly what you should be doing. I think there is a point to perhaps we could look at asking coaches to sit at the side and actively watch live training, because there is a benefit to being coached in the moment. But I think there's more benefit from rolling with your coach, someone more experienced, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one. It's a tough ask, really. It's like something you can do with, like I do with my private clients a lot. I'll record them specific training with each other, and we'll break it down together and what they could do differently. But it depends on what There's feedback, like you say, at the end of a roll, which we try and give. But a detailed analysis of the role and kind of like on the other end of the spectrum of like, hey, these are what your goals are, and this is why. That's a lot for a class of maybe Monday night GB2 session. There might be like 15 people rolling and the one coach watching that class. It's a hard thing to facilitate. I appreciate it'd be super valuable. Like I would love it if there was a coach watching me every time I roll and was giving me detailed feedback. But sometimes in jiu-jitsu you've got to be a bit of an autodidact too. And sometimes you can just break out your own phone and record your roll and just analyze it yourself, and you'll get a lot from that. Sometimes you don't need a really detailed eye to see what mistakes you're making. You'll probably know a lot of the mistakes you are making, and can always later on, if you want to show it to me or Mike, I'd be like, I don't know what went wrong. I'd happily look at it for you.
Yes, I was about to say that. So I've got no issue whatsoever. We do this with our competitors quite a bit. So if they've videoed a role competing, we'll sit down at the edge of the mat one night and just go through it and just say, perhaps you could have chosen to do this differently. And if you want to record your own roles, just be mindful that not everyone else wants to be recorded.
Yeah, always ask.
So we're not going to share it and stuff like that on social media without asking. But if you wanted to record yourself rolling and your partner's happy with that and you want to play it after, that's fine. Also, you've got the space in the back of your cards. We always talk about this for writing goals. Some students do, some don't. If you do, and you want to have a sit down 5-minute catch up on those goals to ask our opinion on how you're getting on or what you could do to help meet those goals, then all you've got to do is ask. Don't be shy about asking for that, because it is something that we offer. So very few people take us up on that, but it's valuable, and if you want it, it's there.
Okay, cool. I like this goal, to become an instructor, which I am currently progressing with, to be able to teach privately and how I can be supported with that and eventually run my own academy. You know who wrote this?
I would presume it's Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. I mean, look, it's a phenomenal thing to teach, not only for your own development, but for the self-worth of knowing that you're helping other people. And it's great that people like Mike want to do this. To teach privately, that's great as well. I mean, that can help support you in terms of your own income, right? So that's an amazing thing. And to run your own academy one day, I mean, that is the ultimate, the pinnacle, I would have thought, in terms of jiu-jitsu, really. For me, it's more meaningful than the black belt, for sure. Be able to create an environment for other people to come and develop and thrive in. And there's a whole pathway for us, which we're releasing, and we've been working on, which helps guide any student from wanting to coach as an assistant coach in the kids program or in the adults program as a lead coach, all the way through to running your own academy. And we've obviously got direct comms with Victor, who runs the whole of Europe. So there's tremendous support there for anybody. In GB UK, Simon Ling, we can put you in touch with everybody you need to be in touch with to make that happen. And even maybe in the future, I'd like to think we could financially do something together with students who want to, open their own place and broaden out. I don't think we'll ever, I don't think I'll ever, I can't speak for you, T, but go and open my own academy somewhere else. This is where I want to be. But I'm mindful that we'd love the idea for our students to go and earn a living through jiu-jitsu and help spread it.
Cool. Okay, moving on to our content. So, do you engage in our online content? 75% said yes, 20% said no, 12.5% said didn't know they existed. So they might not be watching. They might not watch this.
No.
What would you like to see more of in future content? So common suggestions were technical breakdowns, basics and fundamentals. But we do have a lot of those, like in the shorts and Jitz fits, don't we?
In the archives, yeah. I mean, we haven't recorded that stuff for a long time just because we've been really, really busy. But maybe we could look to do that again. I think one of the other comments was kind of like a video analysis of roles. We did that in lockdown, didn't we? It was quite good.
Yeah, like we brought down some competition footage.
So that might be something we could do again for a different type of podcast. Of course, if you're listening to it, it's no good because you can't see it. But it'd be good to do a bit of a change.
Let's see.
So there's a couple of one in there about they'd like to see videos of the actual class. Like you can sign up to GB online. What we can't do is record all our classes and give them to you because we'd be contravening kind of the policy around that. But you can pay a subscription, or if you become a coach, you will get that stuff for GB1 anyway as part of your ICP, and you'll be able to view all of the content for all of the classes in the curriculum. And that's a phenomenal way to aid your development if that's how you learn.
Some other suggestions were to learn more about the people behind the academy.
Who's that us? The board are about us, aren't they, surely?
No.
I think everyone behind the academy is somewhat regularly, or at least have been on the podcast a few times to tell their life stories, haven't they?
Interviews with new members in the community.
Yeah, well, we could offer we could offer new members to come in and talk.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a lot of members on the podcast. I'd say that's probably one of the most things we do. But
for new members, I think. I mean, it might be nice to talk to someone and perhaps who've been training for 3 months and just see what that initial journey's been like.
Yeah,
or we could do some for 6 months. I think we've spoken to a lot of students that have been students for a long time with us. Maybe we could just, offer something out. Can we do that?
I'm sure we can, yeah.
Let's do that.
That'd be nice. Cool. We've covered most of that.
There are other ones, of course. We can't go through every single comment here, but...
Let's have a look. So NPS score, which we've covered before, so that's our Net Promoter Score. So our last question is always, would you recommend us to someone you know? And let's put in perspective, Amazon's 2003 NPS score was 73%. So ours in the adults was 78%.
Right. I've been misquoted. We've been misquoted. Oh, well, no, I went viral online overseas and around the world when I claimed that we were more successful than Amazon, which is not what we're saying here, by the way.
That's not...
Someone said, I said that we were...
misinformation.
Yeah, no, totally, yeah, just trying to discredit what we're doing. So we're not saying we're better than Amazon. What we're saying is our Net Promoter Score is higher than Amazon's.
Yeah.
And that is a great thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's excellent.
Everyone loves Amazon. And if they love GBRL more, then that's even better.
Yeah, exactly. So then our last question is always, use the space below for any additional comments or feedback. So tons of positives, love the class. It's the thing that I love coming to the most. Lots of shout outs to the coaches like James, Kev, Farouk, T. By far the best club gym I've ever been a part of. Keep up the good work. Heading over to GBRL to train is often one of the best parts of my day.
That's nice.
Yeah, so really, really nice stuff. And then I've just highlighted things, put them into sections. So we had some comments about no gi, saying that I would like to see a bit more investment in no gi for intermediate people. I attend the GB1 sessions and they are great, but I have covered a lot of the content multiple times and would be good to learn content from GB3. There is GB3 on Saturday, but often this gets merged with GB1.
So on that, it's worth noting, it's not a GB1 no-gi. It's an all-levels no-gi, but it's actually the GB2 programming, Gracie Baha, right?
Yeah.
So it's a GB2 level no-gi. But I do take your point there around the footlocks and some of the GB3 stuff that we used to do, or I used to teach. That's definitely something that we need to bring back in at some point. But again, if we looked at our attendance around no-gi compared to gi classes, there's a huge disparity there. So clearly more of our students want to come to gi classes. So at the moment, when we change the schedule, the majority is new gi classes to accommodate that. But there's space still in the academy. I mean, most of our classes we don't run concurrent classes, do we? For adults. Most of the time we don't, just some evenings. So there's still loads of space in the schedule for some more. We will be doing more in the future. That is one of them, for sure.
I think, one of mine and yours biggest goals at the moment is to see if we can get potentially Jeremy over for a year. And if that can happen, he's a great no-gi competitor. So, he'd be, I'm sure, happy to teach some of that stuff.
Yeah. So Jeremy Paré just got his black belt as well. So that'd be great to have him over. Talking potentially from next summer, if that works. As always, in any business, we have to be able to afford it. If we are just putting new classes on and bringing in a new instructor to do that at the black belt level, that is a significant cost to the business. It doesn't generate more income because it's just the same student base. So it's a massive cost to us. So we just have to make sure that works, which we're trying to do at the moment. Cool.
Development. So we touched on about senior guys coaching in earlier classes. Another different comment. I do feel like the grading system needs to be looked at. Stripes shouldn't be earned by simply just turning up. I feel like it's become that way, especially regarding the recent female BJJ program.
Okay, well, we don't set the promotion system that GB set. It's on the wall over there, you can see it. We don't even follow it, to be honest. There's a guide around time But that is only one consideration. You absolutely don't get promoted by me to a new belt because you've turned up for a certain amount of time. That does not happen. The only exceptions on that for me, personally, is your first stripe. We look for around about 8 classes and about a month, and also a month's worth of attendance. You're not going to have developed any jiu-jitsu really in the first month or the first 8 classes, are you? You're going to maybe a little bit. So we're not measuring people on their technical competency after 8 classes. What we're saying is, have you turned up for a month? Are you a good person? That's the question I'm asking, because at that point, when we give you your first stripe, you're able to go and live train. And to the point we just made, we can't supervise every role. If you're a maniac, if you're dangerous, you ain't going to get a first stripe. You're going to be asked to leave because you're just going to hurt someone and go crazy. So that is probably the only stripe where I would say it is pretty much time served. You've done 8 classes, done a month, and we think you're a good person, we'll promote you and you come to live training. Second stripe, a little bit similar. The big benchmark is the third stripe, because that is then a GB2 position for you, so you can come to GB2 classes. And the requirement in GB2 around your movement and your technical understanding of jiu-jitsu, it's a significant jump. And so we do make sure that you are ready for that, because I've seen this so many times when people are promoted early to 3 stripes in the white belt, and then they come to GB2, they can't do it, and then they think, I can't do jiu-jitsu, and they leave. So we're going to make sure that you are ready for that. Might be a bit of a stretch for some people, but you're ready. And then 4th stripe is what it is. Blue belt, it's nothing to do with time served. I mean, look at all the people I've promoted to blue belt. There's a huge scale of people who've trained for less than a year, people who've been training for 3 years and still haven't got a blue belt from me. It's nothing to do with time served. That is a whole subjective mishmash of things that I'm looking at. And I know when you're ready for that blue belt, as I'm sure T does. In fact, sometimes we disagree on this stuff, which is great because we always talk about it. But I can absolutely guarantee you it's not about turning up. The other thing I'd say is, I don't know who said this, and we'll leave it anonymous, but I would ask you the question I ask every student when they question whether they should be promoted or not, or anyone else should be. And that is, how much experience have you got to be able to make that judgment? And I don't say that in any way to put down what anyone said, but like, you've got to trust the fact that I've been doing this for 25 years. And if you've been in the academy for 6 months, you probably haven't got the best view of what it takes to be promoted. And the female BJJ program, if we're talking about GBF, that is the first stripe. That's it. You've been here for a month. That's it. 2 tops.
So yeah, I think I agree with all of that. I think especially that first stripe is a lot to me. Like you said, it's about, I always say it when I'm giving that first stripe is, look, I now trust you that you're, sensible enough that I can happily say, go roll with my friend over there. I know that you're not going to get injured. I know that they're not going to get injured. And that's what that first stripe is for me. And I think probably I get the feeling this person has probably just seen some like anti-GB propaganda of like, or there's schools out there that just promote on attendance, and you've seen the thing on the wall, and then you've been like, that's my school, what the fuck, But really, did you ever come and ask us, like, how do we get promoted? Because we would have given you the same answer. So, yeah, don't feel like anyone here is getting promoted based on time served. And time served is definitely a factor in terms of, like,
I would call it experience.
Yeah, like, just the discipline to regularly show up to classes is a very good martial quality, in which case people get, advance in position for. If you could train for ages, develop good skills, but if your attendance card is all over the place, you can never train consistently. I look at that like, maybe that person's maybe not in the best place to get promoted now. It could be the opposite.
I'll tell you a quick story. So the first time I ever came across this, I was I think I'd just been promoted to blue belt, and there was a guy who'd been training long before me, and like before jiu-jitsu was even a thing, and he struggled with mental health challenges, and he was a bit overweight, but he kept coming to classes twice a week, because there was only 2-3 classes a week. Twice a week, every week. Man, he came for years, like literally years. He'd been training for about 5 years before I even showed up, and then so he'd been training for about, 6 or 7 years, and Tom Harris gave him his blue belt. Now, technically, was he at the same level that we were at as blue belt? No way. You know, he wasn't anywhere close. Could he move very well because of his size, because of his challenges? Not very. But Tom explained that was a recognition of what T just said there. This guy showed up. And why shouldn't you have a blue belt if you've done that? It's not, you know, everyone's journey is unique. And there is no one size fits all. Everyone who comes to Jiu-Jitsu is on their own journey. And if you come and train it, look at Stephen Coleman. I promoted him to his third stripe on his white belt, third stripe. His last promotion was July 2021. He hadn't been promoted for two and a half years, one stripe. So you can't tell me it's time served because it's just not. Well, thank you for your
Yeah.
Thanks.
Everyone's journey in jiu-jitsu, what like your version of a black belt is different to what, you know, a 21-year-old competitor's version of a black belt is. Andre Cruz is a purple belt at GB Braça de Prata. He's been training since he's 8 years old. He's a purple belt, and he messes me up like it's just his evening lunch, and it's like, and you know what he is in terms of like skill, like is completely different to what I am. Or you know, Jeremy was here, he was like a 2-stripe brown belt. It's like we don't have competitive roles, like so it's not based on, you know, purely just on skill and things like that. Otherwise, there'd be a ton of people who would never be able to achieve a black belt. At the end of the day, we're jiu-jitsu for everyone. So if Grandma Mildred wants to come and do jiu-jitsu, eventually she can earn a black belt too. And just because Ollie Goss would smash her at blue belt level doesn't mean that she isn't, you know, welcome here or can't progress through, you know, what we do.
Yeah. Final thing as well, I remember when there was hardly any black belts in the UK, only Mauricio, Braulio maybe. Hoist Gracie, because of the UFC, used to come and do seminars quite a bit. And people used to go down, and he'd never met them. And he would give them a blue belt. He'd roll with them. He'd never met them, and he would say, there's a blue belt. So, look, that at that point, really, what is it signifying? It's signifying lots of different things, but it's not just time served. It's lots of different stuff. And actually, the blue belt for some people can be a real carrot. So you get your blue belt perhaps before you feel like you need it or you deserve it, and it can be a real motivating factor to double down and get even better. For some people, it can be a bit of a stick. It's like, you know, get that blue belt on, a bit more pressure, and now you've got to live to that level. So loads of different reasons, probably all we need to say.
Okay, thank you. And the final one on development, there should be more practice around learning to break fall safely, which is a skill in itself, especially for new starters, as landing badly can cause serious injury.
I'll say this. There's a train safe guide, and we've recorded a long video on break falling, and I think we probably go into more depth on break falling than this person probably knows exists on break falling.
So how do we point them in the right direction? Where can they find this stuff?
In the new year, we'll send it out to everyone. So you know, every new starter will be able to see the train safe guide, and not only on break falling, but more points than you could possibly know exist under safety, because I've been making it over the last year now. This book, and we go into some real depth from everything from you know, break falling to, you know, techniques that we're not allowed to do at the academy, rank restricted techniques, hygiene, like everything to do around safety is talked around in this guide. And there's videos to go with every section. There's going to be an audiobook version of it. It's going to be awesome. So just look out for that. Like safety is like one of the highest priorities things we do, if not the highest priority thing we do here at the academy. The ICP that Mike was talking about, that all the instructors do, the first section is on safety. It's like
it's that big focus this year, isn't it?
So, and that's not just safety on when we're rolling. That's everything from, you know, like injuries, stuff like that, all the way to harassment and things like that. So it's, you know, safety is a massive topic for us, and something I think you'll see in the new year that we're probably like leading the way on, if anything.
I think so.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of guys doing their first aid.
Yeah,
really
every
on top of that.
coach is proper first aid course, full day, 1 day course.
Yep.
Not just kind of online thing, it's a practical. Yeah, we're investing in a lot of that stuff. There was a quick one there on air conditioning. Before we close this out a bit out, because we've probably done it to death, but we did look at air conditioning. It's not simple in this building, and probably wouldn't work for us at the moment. I feel it's colder more than it's hot. So what we have done, we brought the fans in, which has really helped in the summer. What we have invested in, they're in the office, needs to go up, is some really amazing infrared heaters. We've spent about 1,500 quid on these heaters to go all around the academy, which will naturally warm up rather than trying to warm the air up, which our heaters do on the mat, which they're not really fit for purpose. And they were put in by the landlord. These will heat the thing in front of them so the people up. And it's the stuff they use at Harrogate, at Lewis's place, and the requests to turn them off are quite regular as soon as you start moving. So they'll be going in the new year to make you even more comfortable during winter.
Cool.
Is that the adults done?
Move on to
Awesome.
kids.
Thank you, everybody, for sending in your comments.
Cool.
We're back.
So moving on to kids, I'll just get to the more juicy stuff. In terms of your child's development, what things matters to you the most? So value to your child's development, both on and off the mat, 83%.
I mean, that's completely different to the adults, isn't it? That's what I found most interesting about that. Adults is all about regular attending classes, some development, technical stuff. For the parents, really what they want is their children to become good people, which is exactly why we run this, our value-led curriculum to you, right?
Absolutely, man.
Yep. How would you rate your child's connection to the GBRL community? So this was a mixed bag. We had 41% was a 4 out of 5, and then a 28% was a 3 out of 5. Then the rest just petered out into the ones, 2s and 5s. So yeah, I think we do, compared to the adults, we do less in comparison to how much we do with the
I
adults.
think
But
sometimes there is still stuff. I know we've only run the one parents' night out. Oh, we run 3 parents' night off this year, but fireworks night, picnic in the park,
Halloween.
I think it's just hard sometimes, obviously just by the nature of it, sometimes to get kids into, parents are busy, kids are busy. It's hard to maybe always have your kid come in and do extra things or come out and do extra things. I think one of the cool things is having some more of the junior coaches, they kind of will know someone a lot of time, or the comp team definitely. They know some people in the older classes, so that's quite nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
In the academy, that's cool too. I've had a lot of kids that go from primary school into high school. Obviously, a bigger pool of kids. They know a couple of year 9s or year 10s, and it's oh hey, and they're it's a nice way of them to go in.
Yeah, Ricky Gruel was telling me, hold that thought, because my heart's exploding. So Harry at the same school as Joe and Sam, and or Joe. And Joe said hi to him at school, and then Harry's friends thought he was super cool because older kids saying hi and hanging out with
Do
him.
the shackers and a fist bump
Yeah.
through the door. Man, that's well done, Joe Dawson, for doing that.
I know.
Yeah, look, if you've got any suggestions of activities for kids to, if your child wants to be more part of the community, I'm looking at maybe the 3 people who've put they don't feel a part of it, or the 1 person, sorry, who don't feel a part of it, then throw in some suggestions. I mean, we did the picnic in the park. This year it was raining, but I think about 6 people turned up. So we can put these things on, but it really is down to you. We said this in the adults one as well, to engage and lean into it. I think if you want to be more connected, if you just don't feel there's anything for you, then you've got to tell us, because we want to address that.
Yeah, tell me.
Did a kids rollathon at the start of the year as well. That's quite cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. We're keen to add more activities to our GBK, which is Gracie Barra Kids, offering to build upon our success of Parents' Nights Off. How interested would you be in birthday parties and or holiday camps for your child? Majority votes lean towards 3, 4s and 5s out of 5, and then just the minority in the 1s and 2s and not interested at all. But I think this is quite nice because we do have these plans.
Yeah, we want to do this, don't we? So I think we recognise that we could do more in holidays for kids. I mean, I'm just thinking about my kids. They always went to holiday camps. They always had to go somewhere because, unfortunately, you have to continue to work most of the year. And, there's a lot of our families live very close to the academy. So I used to drive my kids over to Kirkstall, absolute epic to get over there and back in rush hour to pick them up. And it was generally like 10 till 3. And so you were trying to work, it was just a nightmare. If it's local and you know us and you trust us and you know they're going to be doing something really worthwhile and developing their jiu-jitsu as well and becoming more a part of the community because there's different age groups, I think it'd be a lovely thing for us to offer. So that is one of our plans for this year. Similarly for birthday parties as well. Again, kids who love jiu-jitsu, it's a chance for them to bring their friends into their environment and show them how cool they are because they'll be the cool kid who can do it all. And their friends will be like, oh, I want to be a ninja as well. So I'm glad people are interested in that because it's something that we want to try and bring in this year.
Cool. So NPS score for kids was 72%. Again, this is the first time we've separated the adults and kids. Then finally, our...
Can you explain what the NPS is then for the parents? Who
Net Promoter Score. So that's the question where we ask, how likely are you to recommend GBRL to someone? So this is what all corporations and businesses do who conduct a survey like this is, will you recommend X to X? This is for them to gauge, what it is, would you promote us to other people? And that's something that we do consistently with all our MOT. So we just see how we're doing year on year, or quarter by quarter.
We can't compare it, like you say, because it's the first one where we've done. But it's a very similar score to the adults, isn't it? Which is great. So it's around about 3/4 of people would.
Yeah. So the adults were 78% and the kids was 72%. Combine those, they're 75%.
And Amazon's 73.
And Amazon's 73.
So, if we're competing with a business like that, I think that's not too bad. I'd still like to see that score go up. I'd like to see whether I don't think it's achievable, but 100% of people say that they would promote us to someone else. I mean, that's got to be our goal, hasn't it? So there's work to do here around improving the things that we already do well and listening to the feedback and changing certain things to help improve.
Okay, so shall we go to comments and feedback?
Yeah.
Okay, loads of really nice, positive feedback. Like this one pulled on my heartstring. So my favourite thing about Jack attending GBRL are the virtues that you teach each week. He has experienced some bullying at school and being taught things like your voice is your most powerful weapon has been really helpful. If you could continue to bring things like this to build on self-belief, confidence, esteem, I would be really grateful.
Yeah.
So
that's wonderful, isn't it? And that's ultimately, our aim here. T heads it up, so I'll let him talk a bit more about this. The one thing I'm really proud of us as a business of what we've done is we've invested in just things like the badges, right? It just goes over and above what anyone else is doing in Gracie Barra, but certainly in Jiu-Jitsu in our region, in order to really promote the fact that Jiu-Jitsu is a skill in itself, but it's actually the development of the person and the character of that child that is really at the heart of what we're trying to achieve here. We're trying to, create great people, aren't we? Great adults for the future, great parents of the future who then can have a positive impact on their kids and that ripple effect throughout the generation. So it's great to hear. Well done, Jack. Have you got anything to say on that, mate?
Yeah, I think it's a values-led program, and the foundation of the values has been given from the Instructor's Code of Conduct for GB, which is a great foundation. But I think in the future we'll probably look to build upon it and change things up a little bit and do it as our values, which you guys may not have heard much about yet, but you definitely will in the coming months and years. And I think that way we're all super aligned on the same vision of where we're going, and I think it'd be a really great not an addition, but more to the class.
I agree, mate. Yeah, let's do that for definite.
Yeah.
There's loads of great comments.
Yeah, there's just so much.
Let's not go through the positive ones.
Let's go through the talkative ones. So, busyness of classes. It's still carnage when the classes change. Could staggering the start-finish times create a little more space? The Tiny Champs classes are incredibly busy and it seems new people are added every week, so it's getting busier and therefore each child is getting less training time and less attention. Plus it can be very overwhelming for both kids and adults watching. Do you have a limit on members on this class? And then one more on busyness. It feels there are too many kids in the class and there is a lack of discipline for the kids. Using juniors, I feel, is no benefit to my child who requires direction, leadership and regular teacher.
Yes, few points there. I'll go with the busyness of classes first. I think the classes, in terms of, we do a really good job of tracking the membership like numbers in terms of how many kids are in each class every week, and in terms of ratios of kids to kids to coaches, it's actually less than we ever had it. So it's like child's getting. The mats might seem busier, but they're actually getting more coaching than they've ever had. With the carnage in between, it's something where, constantly trying to do. We've already added a bit of a gap between Tiny Champions and LC1 on a Saturday. One of the things we're quite keen on doing is actually trying to get a lot of the parents to move out of this corridor here, which creates like a bottleneck, and it really slows the transition of kids getting in and out. So we're also trying to create a bit more space around the benching area to get shoes kind of just off to the side for the kids. But I think logistically it's harder to, we already run a very tight changeover between classes because you might not understand this if you're just an LC1 parent, but LC runs into LT2, which then runs into live training. There's a 15-minute window to get kids out the door and adults kind of in and then onto the mats. Juniors and teens, there's even less time. It ends at 6 and the adults class starts at 6. So we're already running, fine margins there. What was the other point? Juniors and teens coaching?
Well, can I just say something quickly on there? Yeah, we'll come to juniors in a moment. The reason it's busy on a Saturday is because that's when the majority of our kids want to train. They're busy all week at school. We do have classes on an evening, and there's some comments there about additional classes which we can talk to. So, if your child's struggling, then there are quieter classes in the week if you can bring them to that one. We haven't got the time in the day, unfortunately. We have to provide at least one class for every age group on a Saturday, I feel. And there just isn't the time in the day to spread it all out. Otherwise, you'd have kids coming at 3 p.m. It just wouldn't work. But what the big ambition, and I suppose the grand kind of ambition really, is to have a separate space for us to train. So we would have loved to have acquired the olive branch downstairs before that was changed into a bar. I worked really hard to lobby on our behalf with the landlord to try and get that space. It didn't work out for us. We were down to the last 2, unfortunately. The olive branch got it. We can argue whether or not we think that's the right decision, because I think we would fill it and it's not a used space. But we worked really hard. We're now looking at another option of potentially going up and developing the loft space. And I'm in talks with the landlord about that. A significant cost to do that. But we would love to see a separate mat area for the kids for sure. One thing that is going to, just before the juniors, one thing that is going to help is potentially bringing in an advanced kids program at some point, right? So now we've developed more coaches. We've got 30 assistant adult coaches to keep those ratios, 8-1, 6-1. Once we start running a proper advanced program and a curriculum, we will be able to take out grey belts, grey and black belts, and train them separately, which should ease up a little bit of space.
I also think, and this is not me saying, this is what parents have said when they've ended up becoming coaches on the mat. There's a huge difference between what you see when you're on the benches to what you see when you're on the mat. And what from the outside looking in looks like a swarm of bees, like with some random kind of correlation, actually looks kind of like a bit more like orchestrated plan on the inside. So
there's definitely a plan.
Yeah.
There's definitely a plan.
Yeah, it's so just from the outside looking in, it can look a lot different from just because you don't really understand what's happening on the mats. Doesn't mean there isn't actually a very finely tuned, like minute by minute breakdown of what I'm going to do every session. In fact, it's all written down on a Google document. Actually, every minute of every class is accounted for.
The other thing about a busy class as well for kids, I found, for my own kids anyway, particularly the tiny champs and LC1s, before they go to school, to be in a social environment which is I mean, the word can't is just an interesting one. Chaotic would be a word that I might use to describe what 30 or 40 3-year-olds running around looks like. But for them to feel confident and comfortable in that environment is a development in itself. So when they go into assembly for the first time and there's all these new kids, they can sit at the front, they can get up at the front and present their work. Same in the class. And I think you'll find that that's we're not, to the technical development of the children there and the time with the adult coach and the T will come on to juniors now, like really that's not our focus at 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 maybe even. Our focus is to give them a bit of jiu-jitsu, but it's actually to develop them as good, confident little children who can go and thrive in school and away from the mat. So that'll always be our focus, and we're not going to apologise for that really. We're about helping people to grow more than anything at that age.
The junior leadership program, which is getting more formalised right now actually, is one of the things I'm most proud about. I think the juniors do, for the most part, an amazing job, and I think they're only going to get better. They give a lot of the adults a run for the money with how well they communicate with the kids and their technical knowledge. Some of those kids have been training 2.5 years. Just because they're only maybe a foot or half a foot taller than your kid doesn't mean they're not very knowledgeable. And in terms of them, consistent coach, they're going to have like their classes that they attend, and they already do really, that they attend every week, so they see the same faces. And to be honest, some of the junior coaches are the kids' favourite coaches because they can relate to them much better. And that is a great role model for them because it's a young person that stepped up into a leadership role. They're only a few years ahead in age, and they can see that person, I can do that in the future. Having old me or old Coach Kev to only look up to is a big jump for a 5-year-old. On that, if you stick in the program, it might be your kid one day that is one of those junior leadership coaches, and you'll be really proud of them for giving back to the community, developing their skills of public speaking and leadership, and being able to coach other people. All these amazing skills that the JLP program will get. I think it's one of the best things we do.
Yeah. So I've not been regularly around the kids program for a while now, as you know. But I'm looking forward to being in on Saturday for our winter gathering. Again, around community, we do that twice a year, don't we? That big come together, everybody. I was reviewing the CCTV recently. We won't go into why, but I had to do that to deal with an issue. And I was absolutely staggered at how some of our younger junior coaches, so not even the teens who are on the programme, but like Ariana Lal and Jensen Lewis, like just how engaged they were and how phenomenal they were with the little tiny champ. It was unbelievable. In fact, I spoke to Matt Lewis last night and told him, and if San Lal's listened to this, he should know how proud I'm of Ariana as well. Because I remember them two being in the tiny champs and the little champs one and being a bit nervous to be on the mat, and now to be so confident to help a little child on their journey, it's just wonderful stuff. So yeah,
nice,
really proud.
Cool.
Shall we deal with this one?
Yeah, snacks. Coffee needs to improve. Would be great to have a nice cup whilst watching the kids.
It made me smile, this one, because when we opened up, I read a research document that talked about the reason parents choose 2 different providers for the children, and the main reason they choose one over the other, it's not based on price or location, it's based on the quality of the coffee. So when we were talking about coffee, we went to North Star Coffee, who are famous in Leeds for being this like leading coffee roastery. They only supply a very small number of coffee outlets, like opposite in Chapel Alton, Gron in Oakwood, a few in town. They're very, very niche about who they supply to. They came out, I don't know if you remember, with the sapphire crystal kind of machine thing to test whether our machine was good enough at grinding their beans, because they're so good. And so we've got some of the best coffee in Leeds. I'm gutted that someone thinks it's not good coffee. Maybe we need to change the blend. Maybe we need to change the supplier. We spoke earlier, maybe we could speak to Aidan at Rand and maybe use Rand coffee. The reason I didn't do that initially is because I wanted people to have something different. But we're all over the coffee. What we will do is we'll change the blend and see if people like it more. I think it's a great cup of coffee, but I suppose everyone's taste is different. But it's not cheap coffee. It is North Star coffee. It's the best stuff you can get.
Okay.
But we'll try better.
I'm a tea drinker, so I don't know.
Well, we've got brew tea. I mean, brew tea is amazing. They're proper biodegradable bags with real bits of like ginger and it's proper stuff, right? So again, we tried to do this as good as we can, and if we fall short, then we'll definitely address it. On the snacks thing, yeah, I think I agree with that. Actually,
We need some more snacks.
we need some more snacks, but the problem we've got is people don't buy them. It's a very small number of parents. We see parents go to Sainsbury's and bring in stuff out of Sainsbury's when they could buy stuff here. And the things we want to supply are things that are low sugar, healthy, ethical. So it's all vegetable crisps. It's all naked bars and stuff like that. It's not Mars bars and bags of crisps and stuff. But we could do better, and we will.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll come to the shopping trip.
Yes.
Okay. Games. Maybe introduce Evening for Tiny Champs during the week. Another game apart from flipping turtles at the end of the session. I feel this is the next comment that goes under the games. I feel the classes have become too repetitive. Same game over and over. He's been attending for 2 years and he hasn't been corrected on how badly he does his warm-up exercises. Oh, sorry. So that was a few points in that final comment.
Yeah, so on the games, games make up a very small part of the class, and less so now I'd say 90% of the times the LC1 kids don't do games now, they do sparring drills, I say sparring games, so they just feel like they're playing a game, which they are, jiu-jitsu is a game in a way. And we've had great feedback on that. Like the parents love it, the kids love it. They're well excited to do the rounds. They were very nervous at first, but we've kind of overcome that hurdle now. For the tiny champs, like we were talking about with the adult stuff earlier, safety and fun are probably the most important things, and it's hard to find games that hit both of that with a time constraint with a big group of people. So we used to. You might remember, this person might remember, we used to do things like Spider-Man freestyle, which was great, but we had a lot of kids running into each other, banging heads, getting upset, and I hated to see that. And with flipping turtles, it's a lot safer. We do sometimes with the older kids things like red light, green light. I'll have some of the junior coaches do that. But games is a small part of the class. The main thing is I want them to have fun. We were talking about consistency is like a thing. For especially the kids that have we have quite a few kids with autism, are on the spectrum, and them knowing the game at the end also helps. Like they like to have the same kind of format, and that's they like to have that same consistency. So there are pros and cons. It's not always just as easy as let's do a different game, but I will consider looking at different games. Again, main thing, keeping them safe, having fun. I don't want any tears on the mat, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we could add another one in, an alternate every now and again. That'd be quite good, wouldn't it? I think what you find as well, I had this conversation with a parent recently, is certainly the children in LC1, as 5 years old, they're still loving games. 6 years old, they kind of like games. 7 years old, they're like, I just want to spar.
Yeah.
So as your child becomes a little bit older, you can expect to hear them saying, these games are boring, these games are boring. What they're saying, actually, if they're 7 years old, is, I need to be in LC2.
Yeah.
And so we'll be in touch around that. And maybe your child needs to move slightly earlier, whatever, slightly later. But once they're in LC2, the games end, right?
Yeah.
And that is just sparring.
It's just sparring them.
And then you're away at the races.
For the kids that don't get correct on the warm-up movements, again, it's not like the highest priority that they can do a hip escape. It's not, at LC1 level. The main thing I want them to do is have fun. And if I'm always being on them, I think there was another thing about some of the kids, it feels like they're lacking discipline. I could make the whole LC1 class be like little soldiers if I wanted to. Like silence in the class every time there's a line up. No one's running around ever. Like there's no shouting out. And it would look awesome from the side of the mat. And we'd have about 5 kids in a year because no one wants to be pushed like that. Like the main thing
Not
is
at that age.
Not at that age. To keep the main thing is if you want that, come to competition team when they're a bit older. But at that age, the main thing is I want them to have loads of fun and stay in jiu-jitsu for the next 10, 15 years because that's where they're really going to be developing skills. over the long term, that's where they're going to be developing values. I can make a kid awesome at jiu-jitsu in a year, but they're going to leave because you push them too hard. It happens with adults as well, but they're going to burn out really quick. So on the warm-up exercises, I have got something in mind that we're going to start to do to help some of those kids, and we're actually going to talk about it tonight in the workshop we're running with the coaches. So expect that they will improve their warm-up drills. And but yeah, again, like out of every kind of feedback we get, just to understand, like, the most important thing is, for me, kids have fun and they're safe.
Cool, thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to cost. So just 2 comments. Compared to other classes we have taken over the years, yours is very expensive for the amount of contact time. Both monthly subscriptions and startup costs are huge. This makes the group very exclusive. £100 for a gi is staggering, and this has been this first thing that people have asked when we have mentioned when being asked for recommendations. Okay. Next comment about cost. Sorry, I would feel more comfortable knowing that the large fees in some way subsidise cost for others.
Well, let me just tackle that one then. So you've seen the good work, hopefully, that we do as an academy. So the additional work that our team does to support charities like Reorg, through the Rollathon, the Toy Appeal, that's all time from our staff that your fees go towards. The sponsorship of local clubs like Roundesians and all the children and adults that benefit from that. Round AFC as well this year. The fireworks night, the additional activities like picnic in the park. This was all staff costs, so they do go towards facilitating additional things. We support the Ukrainian refugee with his training and his equipment, because we think that's the right thing to do. And of course, we don't charge him for that. And there are a few other people in the academy who benefit from, just because of their circumstances, discounts or free membership. So we do that. We don't advertise it because we're not here to say, oh, look at us, look how good we are. And also, those people might feel embarrassed if people knew. But we absolutely do subsidise other people's training. In fact, interestingly, one of our goals for next year is that we want to create a foundation, a charitable arm of GBRL. So all that good work will be done officially and separately, and we can have an even bigger impact on the people who perhaps can't afford to come and train with us. On the cost, I know you probably want to say something to me about the uniforms and stuff. For me, we are the most expensive jiu-jitsu in Leeds. There's no getting about it. You can do your research. But we're also the best. So, everything you go... I remember taking my son all the way to Catalan Soccer in Kirkstall, whose fees were way more expensive than the five-a-side pitch or the guy who puts some nets up on Soldiers Field. But they had 3G pitches, so they trained all year round. They had fully qualified coaches. They had great ratios. They had amazing stuff outside of that around podcasting and everything else. That's all the stuff that you guys get. And I use them as an example. There's 1,200 kids a week go to Catalan Soccer. They're the best in Leeds. They're probably the best in the country at teaching kids football, in my opinion. Same as Foot Tech as well, and Luke's team down there. So you are paying for a premium service, but I do believe you get a premium product. And if you're not sure, then you can try out a class at Game Fight, try out a class at Senshi Jiu-Jitsu, and many other Jiu-Jitsu academies around Leeds who have children's programs but don't have the same schedule, don't have their extracurricular stuff, don't have the community, don't have this level of facility. And it's the choice then, isn't it, as to what you feel is most appropriate for you. And it is subjective, isn't it, cost? I get that point about it being exclusive. I understand that not everyone can afford to come and train here, but we are trying to be world class, and we are trying to be the very best we can be for your children. On the gis, we discussed this before we came on air, because it's an important point to raise. Pretty much everything you do, there's an initial startup cost associated to it. So I can only talk for my kids, right? So I have one who plays rugby and does jiu-jitsu, and one who plays football. Let's take the footballer, right? I buy him probably 3 pairs of boots a year. He gets a pair of AstroSurf boots. It was more when his feet were growing. He's now bigger than me. AstroSurf boots, metal studded boots and moulded studded boots. Each pair of boots costs about 90 quid. So every single year it's costing 250 quid's worth of boots. I could get cheaper boots. He ain't going to wear them, and they wear out much quicker if they're plastic, not leather. So I'm getting decent boots. They're in his feet. He then needs a kit every year. 95 quid for his Sunday League kit. He gets another kit for York City. I have to pay for that kit, and then a monthly subscription to go and play for both. So those costs are significant. The gear you get your child probably will last them all year, if not 2 years, if you get a slightly bigger size and roll the sleeves up, which we're happy for you to do. We give you the belts. They don't cost you anything when your child gets promoted. Most of the martial arts academies will charge you for belts. We don't do that. So there is an initial startup cost, £100 for that quality of gi. And, they are for tremendous. Adidas don't work with any brand. The adult gis, Adidas quality, the kids gis as well. Tremendous quality. They're never going to rip on you. They're never going to break. There's always a cost to entry for anything you do. Mm-hmm. We talked about, the other end of the spectrum, like park run. Like, costs you nothing to do it. You've got to buy a pair of trainers. What's that going to cost you? 30, 40, 50 quid? Maybe. For a child, maybe 25 quid. T-shirt, pair of shorts, 10, 15 quid. Like, it's going to be another 60 quid just to go and do park run. We can't apologise for that. There is a cost. We do give you it at cost price for every new member as well. So we try and, we absorb that cost ourselves. But we can't really get around that kind of cost.
I think especially for, back, not on the startup fee, but on the things we do, I'm thinking back in, when I was a junior, about, let's say 2008-ish, and I was doing Thai boxing classes, I'd be paying £5 for a session, and it wasn't even a kids class. I'd just be rocking up to the adults class in a dingy back alley Thai boxing gym in Meanwood. Like, if you look at, I think even with the price increase, our juniors program, especially if you include the live training element, like, it works out about £8 a class if you're doing Tuesday, Thursday. So I really think, for sure, it's a premium, and of course cost is relative for everyone, but I think for what you actually get in terms of, again, going back to all the values and things like that, again, being the main thing that we do here, it's like priceless,
Yeah, we are bringing in with obviously the price is changing in February. I put our price up for 2 years. It's been killing us as a business with the cost of living crisis and everything else going up. But we've been absorbing it because we're community first. We want to try and help. We have to put our prices up now. We've communicated that really well. That went out a few months ago to give people plenty of time. We still think it's amazing value for what you guys get. What we are doing is changing the discounting structure, particularly for families. So this is going to affect children more than the adults. There's going to be a way more generous discounting scheme for, multiple family members. And again, that will come in. Nicola's doing that work right now, so it'll be in play for 1st of February. And again, that's hopefully you see that as our commitment to helping everybody experience jiu-jitsu. I mean, jiu-jitsu for everyone is the Gracie Barra mission. It's certainly our mission. And we're doing whatever we can to get as many people to jiu-jitsu, but we can't serve everyone in our community, unfortunately. But I wouldn't want to, take down the level of service, the customer service scores that we've got, the facility scores we've got, the classes. I wouldn't want to bring those down and let's say, right, well, we'll put on less classes a week and we'll take out 2 members of staff and make them redundant. So we bring the prices down. Like, that's not the business that I'm in. We want the very, very best we can offer at the most reasonable price.
Great.
So we're on that.
Cool. Okay, let's move on to competitions. So 3 comments about competitions. It would be awesome if there is a board with competitions that the academy approve and attend as a team, so coaches, professor could attend and support the kids across the year. Please could we consider more support to get kids more prepared for competitions, more work from standing, attacks and defence, how to start well, and submissions. Appreciate the learning journey and achievements for just competing, but as a parent, I'd like to see more confident they are prepared in terms of being competitive. Thank you for the ongoing support.
So a few things. I'll start with the support for like a competitions board. It's usually something that we just talk about within the comp team, like which comps we're gonna go to, and to be honest, it's the Leeds ones. Right now, we don't really have the resources to just take out a coach to go to a competition and just solely support. Like if it's 2 or 3 kids going to Doncaster or something to go do competition, because me and Kev both teach the majority of members on Saturday mornings. But I definitely think, in the future with the coaches that we have, like Alex and Dan and maybe Nick in the future, or Jeremy and stuff like that, where that is something that we could do. We can go support kids at more competitions. in general, I won't say we're a very competition-focused school. There are schools out there that are very much solely comp team, but as you focus on one thing, it detracts from other things. And then we talk about this in the Train Safe guide as well, actually. But right now, the school's focus, I would say, is on developing and the values, and that's a values kind of led program. And competition is something we do to support those that want to do it and aid those things. But it's not like we run 5 competition, like some schools run a competition class every night, and it's very much geared towards, right, we have 2 or 3 star students and we really want to focus on them, and everyone else is kind of just in the periphery to kind of support those guys. And that's not really the way we want to do it right now, but for sure I would like it to be in the future where we could have maybe another comp team session a week, or a longer comp team session, or be able to support more people, or go further afield to support more competitions, or get a big bus to go down to competitions and do like the GB comp nets and stuff like that. So while it's not there right now, it's definitely in the I know everyone who's made these comments, and this person's really nice, and I know that they'll support us on it, but it's definitely something we'd like to do.
I do, yeah. I think it's a good point. I do think we could probably look ahead to the year and say, okay, these are the competitions that the team are going to go to. I think we could do that. I mean, we say it kind of informally because we kind of know that the Empire ones in Leeds, we're going to do those. But maybe we could say that, and maybe the CompNet, and maybe the English Championships or the British Championships. We talked about this after the GB UK conference. We'd love to put a coach on and just take a coach load of students, adults and kids down to the British Open and go and compete as a team. That'd be amazing. So I think we can do that. I think we should do that. So we will do it. On the preparing kids for competition, I mean, this is for you, T, because it's the kids thing, but for me, the thing that's going to make a child better at competition is competing and experience, in my opinion. And I can speak personally on that, and my own children competing in sport. You can teach them whatever you want, but no plan survives contact with the enemy. It's like Mike Tyson says, you can have a great plan to get punched in the face. If that kid does something that you're not used to, or the nerves of the day get you, or whatever, you're not going to perform optimally. And so I think the best thing you can do is keep exposing your child to those competitions and giving them the experience to become more confident in it. But that being said, T, stuff from standing, submissions, is there anything else we could do?
So it's stuff balance. The competition team isn't advanced class, and that's something that people struggle to deal with when in their heads initially, and it's something I struggle to deal with as well. The competition team is there geared towards getting you ready for competition, not teaching you necessarily new skills. And when we run an advanced program, that'll be there for that. And I do blur the line because I do teach, some new skills to them, and we do have quite an emphasis on the stand-up game. I know who wrote this, and I just don't necessarily know if they see everything that we do, or know maybe how vast the stand-up game for Jiu-Jitsu is, because it's not necessarily, I need to learn more takedowns. Jiu-Jitsu standing game incorporates kind of 5 major elements between learning how to take someone down, learning how to counter takedowns, learning how to pull guard, learning how to counter guard pulls, and then dealing with flying submissions, or submission element from standing position. Don't necessarily have to be a so to necessarily try and teach the whole standing game in an hour class where we need to be focused on getting rolls in, because they don't have a lot of. Only recently we've started to do live training for LC2 and above. The main important thing is getting time in positions, learning the point systems, understanding that you can't just accept positions, these kind of things. And every role starts, every time we start in comp team, we start standing. So it's definitely something I'm particularly passionate about. I love the standing game. So I'm not sure if this person sees everything, or maybe I can talk to them more about what we do and why we do it.
Okay, thank you. We're just going some miscellaneous.
This is one that I wanted to touch on. Yeah, so no, this one here. So we've talked about advanced programs, so we're going to do an advanced
miscellaneous now. So there's only one female adult coach on the mat, so not much representation for the girls. More women would be great.
They absolutely would.
Agree,
yeah, we would love more female coaches. We put out a call out to all our adult students and members recently, asking for more coaches, and the people who applied, there weren't any women, unfortunately. As a representation of our total student base, female community is quite much smaller than the guys, so you'd expect to see less. What I would say is, it's something that we're really passionate about improving, and so we'll keep talking to our female students about that. The things I can control are who we have employed in the inner circle part of our business. So I can't control, nor would I want to control, who coaches, because that's a volunteer thing, and you have to want to do it. But we have a 50-50 male-female split in our staff. I've never been in a business, come across a business that has absolute equality in terms of gender in its staff. So 50% men, 50% female. That's what we have in our staff, and I'm super proud about that. And I think it brings such a richness to what we do, and we'd never want that to change. Unfortunately, I can't drag female students onto the mat to coach. But if you are a female student listening, we want you to coach. So please come and speak to us, because there's little girls and young women who would love a role model like you. And so we're on it, and we're going to try and improve it.
Definitely. Just looking at the...
Yeah, so of adult numbers at the moment, 153 adult members, male, 23 female members. So you can see the difference there in percentage terms.
Biggest issue is that my child isn't age/size matched with anyone in their class, and so doesn't feel connected. I don't think it will be necessarily age match, because the classes...
We split them by age, yeah.
This is a junior team.
But we do split them by age, don't we?
Yeah.
We don't split them by size or ability.
Yeah.
By age. And that's due to learning.
Do you want to continue on the same one? There's a bit longer to it, or do you want me to?
That was just one. Was that not the same?
I can so that they are every time we get them to go from the technique line to find someone of similar size and try and find someone of opposite ability level. So, there's obviously a big range between the size of someone who's maybe small in the class like Gabe, and someone who's bigger in the class like Tom Croston. Usually I'd say everyone is within a few inches of each other when they pair up. So I wouldn't say there's much of a difference between the size wise. There was more to that comment. Shall I try and find it?
Same? I might have split it.
Yeah.
I have one suggestion that maybe parents and children not possible. No, that's not it.
You can go into it.
Okay, we'll move on whilst T finds it.
Yeah, I'll find it.
I have one suggestion that maybe parents and children not participating in sessions should not eat food where classes take place. In the best case, the strong smell of things like flavoured crisps is not pleasant to others. In worst case, it can be distracting to those on the mat.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So we've got a sign that says no hot drinks. I could not agree more. So I think that is a really good point. Thank you for sharing it. I think what we'll do is we'll speak to our team and we'll better signpost where you can and can't eat in the academy. And I certainly think that threshold of walking into the mat space should be a clean space. And you absolutely don't want someone eating, I don't know, a curry in there or whatever they're going to eat.
Unless you're going to share it with me.
So
T does love a curry.
I think that's a great point. We will absolutely change that.
Going back to the biggest issue about child isn't size matched, I always think that if you go into competition, I'm not saying that every child wants to go to competition, like you, especially when it's kids, it's because that's done by age, isn't it?
And weight.
So,
but Gabe, my son, always competes with kids 6 inches taller than him. Always, just because he's in that weight bracket, yeah. The other thing on that as well, it's a relevant point for sure, 100%. But from a self-defence point of view, you can never say that you're going to be in a self-defence situation at school with a kid your size. Like, if you're able to even have the confidence to engage with someone bigger than you, and then have the confidence to understand the disparity between your bigger size compared to a younger child and pare down your strength advantage, I think that's a wonderful thing to be able to develop as well.
Cool.
For sure.
Did you find it?
I can't find it.
Okay. Someone mentioned about the discount.
Well, that's all changing,
we've-
right? So the discounting changes are all going to take place. At the moment, it's 5% for every family member. It's going to be 10, 15, 20, and then free, depending on how many kids you bring in. So we don't need to talk about discounts. If you want to know more about that, there's communication that's already gone out, or you can just speak to Soaps or Nicola at any point, and they can tell you what your new family membership will be as of February.
I think I found it, T.
Oh yeah.
Compared to, because they spaced each comment. So compared to other classes we have taken over this, we talked about cost.
Cool.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That was the same person.
Cool. So we've raced through those. I think we've probably been on this podcast for way over an hour now.
Yeah. Hour and a half.
Hour and a half. Wow, time flies. What I would want to say at this point is that it's really valuable to us to hear what everyone thinks. We don't just want to. We love to hear the positive comments. Of course, it makes us feel good, and that's amazing. And we know we're on the right track with certain things. But the constructive feedback is equally, probably more important to us, or certainly to me, because I've got that relentless pursuit of excellence for us as an academy and as a team. And so keep that coming. You don't have to wait for the MOT to come out twice a year to do that. You can feed directly into Way as the kind of customer experience champion. You can for Soaps, the academy manager, or Nicola as your program director, or you can speak to T and I personally, or Kev, if it's facilities related. He looks after our facilities. At any point throughout your journey, and we want to hear from you. We want to make sure that you're happy and connected and fulfilled with your jiu-jitsu. And more than anything else, I think we've got to take this opportunity at the end of 2023, 3 years in as a business, when most businesses fail within the first 3 years, to say how grateful we are for everybody who's been a part of this journey, the people who are still with us, the people who have been a part of this journey before and are no longer with us, and the people who will be part of this journey in the future. We can only present the opportunity for anybody to participate in this amazing sport. You have to step into it, and none of this would happen without all of our amazing members, all 500 and God knows how many of you. So thank you so much for being a part of it, and 2024 is going to be even better.